Hey folks, welcome back to another gear review. I'm Marty and today I want to show you this device here, which is from Tegeler Audiomanufaktur and it's called the Cream. Basically, it's a mix bus compressor, but it has also a EQ section in it that you can switch in front of the compressor or after the compressor. Overall, the unit is very well built. The knobs have a very good feeling to them when you turn them. They're all stepped. And you also have, for example, on the output knob, micro steps. So it's very easy to recall once you have to do another mix, for example. As well as the switches, they work perfectly. You can really clearly see how much compression you have on the compression meter, so very easy to see. And actually, the unit itself comes in a wooden box. I was really surprised when I unpacked it. And I haven't seen any equipment so far here in my studio that comes in such a cool package. So just to say that. And I would say let's go quickly through the features. On the front here we have a bypass switch. Then we got on the top here the EQ section where we have two knobs for low frequencies. So one is for boosting and one is for the frequency selection. Goes from 20 up to 200 Hertz. Same is on the high frequencies, so a boost knob and high frequency from 10 kilohertz to 24 kilohertz. All right, and here is the output knob. Then we got here a kind of like a sidechain low cut where you can actually switch between the full bandwidth, 120 hertz and 60 hertz. And this is dependent if you want the compressor react to the lower frequencies. For example, you can switch to 60 hertz. So the compressor bypasses all the low frequencies below 60 hertz. All right. Then, of course, you can also put the EQ in front of the compressor and vice versa. Then we got the threshold knob and attack from 0.1 to 30 milliseconds, release 0.1 up to 1.2 seconds. And of course, you can also use it in auto release mode, kind of like you have on SSL consoles. So very neat feature. And ratio 1.5 up to 10, where you are kind of like actually in the limiting mode. And of course, output meter here, as I said, micro steps here. So very easy to dial in, and a compression meter from 0 to 20 dB, and of course, on off switch. On the back of the unit, of course, the power socket here, and left and right inputs, XLR inputs, so balanced inputs all the way. All right, I would say enough of talking about the features. Let's have a listen how it actually is performing there, and the most important thing, what it can actually do to your sound. I prepared 4 different examples. So we have a drum bus, so there we can really listen and see what the EQ and the compressor does when we really overemphasize it. So we're gonna have a look how it performs there. And then we got kind of like a laid-back rock, psychedelic rock song that I made myself. And we got a EDM track, drum bass synths. And third one, or the fourth, we have a singer-songwriter. And we're gonna have a listen how it performs on a really soft and acoustic-like track. All right, so I would say let's get started, and I'm back in a minute. All right, so let's try it on the drum bus. And we're gonna use, first of all, just the EQ and then the compression. Gonna overemphasize everything, so just to hear what the device is actually doing, and then we're gonna dial them back and see how it sounds with kind of like right settings, okay? So, here are the drums, nothing too fancy. Let's bring it in and let's boost, let's say 60 for now. So comes now really the kick out. Let's go 140. 200, all the way back to 20. 100 Hertz. So very gentle shelf EQ. Do the same with the high frequencies here. Let's dial in some 10,000 Hertz. 16,000, really hear the cymbals coming out. 18,000. And this goes up to 24 kHz, which is quite high. Let's try again 16. Without. Yeah, very gentle curves, but it's as it was designed for the mix bus, so it sounds really good here. Right, so let's bring it back and let's try the compressor now. I'm gonna leave the sidechain low cut now on full in, and we're gonna use the compressor in front of the EQ. We don't boost anything on the EQ, so we just use the compressor here. Let's start with a quick attack and a quick release. There we go. Without. Okay, let's go a little bit slower attack. Let's take 1. Let's leave fast release, go to 2 to 1. Maybe a little bit less compression, up to 4 to 1. And with. Let's go maybe into kind of like a little bit of a limiting. With auto release. Slower attack. So just to take the transients a little bit away. As you can see, just 3 dB of gain reduction. Let's also use now the sidechain low cut. Let's go to 60 Hz. So the compressor doesn't react to the lower frequencies. You can really hear that in the kick. 120 Hz. Again, without the whole compressor. Tightens it really up, the whole material. Really like that sound. Again, without. And with. Okay, so I would say let's use it in kind of like a setting that I would use on the drum bus. Let's use ratio maybe 4 to 1. Auto release, use a slower attack, but let's leave it to 10. And let's see. Well, let's play the drums. I'm gonna dial in here a little bit. Out. With. Let's bring the output a little bit back. Very nice. Let's use the EQ in front of the comp. Compresses a little bit more. Again, without the whole EQ and compression. Very nice sounding. So I really like this sound of the Tegeler, what it does to the instruments bus here on the drums. And I would say let's go to now a full mix and see how it performs on a kind of like a rock sound. Okay. All right, everything resetted again. Let's play now the song. And let's use now, again, a little bit of EQ. That would be a bit too much. Let's dial in a little bit of 12,000 hertz. A little bit less of low frequencies. Okay, like that. Let's also try 18,000. Well, let's leave it to maybe 12,000. Let's use a little bit of compression. Let's use 2G1, auto release. So 2 dB of gain reduction here. It's without. EQ in front.
Spreading everywhere. Talking to myself. Voices
60 hertz low cut.
dark, cold and wet.
So the kick sounds a little bit more alive.
Trying to get out of this life roulette.
Let's try 120. I like that. And okay. Maybe let's go a little bit crazy with the ratio. Let's use 4:1 on the next bus. Fast release. Faster attack. More compression. Well, that's a little bit too much for me. Let's dial it back to 2:1, auto release. Yeah, that's it. All right. So, kind of like makes everything a little bit tighter. I really like the boosting of the EQs with the low frequency shelf and the high frequency. In this case, I used 12,000 hertz and 60 hertz, as well as just a little bit of compression of up to 2 to 3 dB of gain reduction, and also used the low cut here on the compression section so that the compressor isn't acting to the lower frequencies like the bass and the kick, makes the bottom end a little bit more lively. Okay, so rock song, thumbs up. Sounds really great. And let's head on to a EDM track. All right, and let's play now the track. Bass and kick drum and a little bit of synths. Well, let's just try it out. Maybe let's use here just 30. Oh boy. Bring out the hi-hat a little bit more. $16 is quite good here. Nice. All right, and also a little bit of compression, maybe 4:1 here. Let's use a fast release. Okay, good. Maybe a little bit, let's try limiting a little bit. Just tap transients. And what about 1.5? Auto release. Yeah, that's nice. Let's use the EQ in front of the compressor. Let's also use the low cut again, 60. Full. Well, I like here the full a little bit more. Without. And all right. So, well, let's go a little bit crazy here and use, for example, a very fast attack. How that sounds. If you slam it, maybe 2 to 1, so up to 60 dB, or what's that, 80 dB of gain reduction. Hertz low cut. So even though we're compressing now kind of like a little bit more, it doesn't feel too compressed. I mean, it's kind of a bit of bumping, and I wouldn't use that on the mix bus or in a mastering chain or something like that, but just for the sake of it, I just wanted to hear how that sounds. And it actually does a fairly good job, even though we're compressing up to 80 dB. And I would say that other compressors have quite a bit more pumping in there. But as it is designed for the mix bus, it does a great job with such a high amount of compression. Well, let's dial it back to 1.5 ratio, slower attack, and let's see again. Yeah. Sounds really great. All right, so that's the EDM track, and let's go on to very gentle and soft singer-songwriter style of recording, okay? All right, so let's play the acoustic song. Sounds like that. So just guitar, vocals, and a little bit of an accordion comes in a little bit later.
Hab gedacht, es wäre einfach.
So again, EQ.
Hör dem Meeresrauschen
Let's
zu.
use 100 here.
Wenn alles kommt, dann kann's so bleiben. In all dem Chaos leuchtest du. Du und ich. Ein wildes Duo. Niemals gleich. Und immer aneinander dran.
Okay, let's use a little bit of compression. Just 1.5 on the ratio. Auto release and
Mich
very
doch
slow attack.
an, es wird nicht schlimmer.
Just touching it a little bit here, the needle.
Die Stille, die dazwischen liegt.
So up to 1.5 of gain reduction.
Und wenn ich sag, es ist für immer, dann mein ich jetzt und alles hier.
Much fuller now.
Du und ich, wir haben was gemeinsam. Du und ich, wir lügen katastrophal.
Maybe let's leave it at full.
Du und ich, wir glauben noch
EQ in
immer.
front.
Wenn einer atmet, ist es
just leave the compressor in front of the EQ here.
Hab
Okay.
den Weg schon lang verloren.
Alright, just for the sake of it, just how it sounds, let's use a little bit more compression. Let's go in the middle of the song here.
Ein wildes Duo,
4-to-1,
niemals gleich
fast release.
und immer aneinander.
Let's use auto.
Nimm mich doch an, es wird nicht schlimmer. Die Stille, die dazwischen liegt. Und wenn ich sag, es ist
So that would be
für
way
immer,
too much without device.
dann mein ich jetzt und alles hier.
Alright, now comes in also the back vocals.
Du und ich, wir haben was
So
gemeinsam.
that's way too much. Let's dial it back again.
Du und ich, wir lügen
Well, let's leave it
katastrophal.
up to 1.5. Just tickling the meat a little bit.
Du und ich, wir glauben noch immer. Wenn einer atmet, ist es klar.
And without.
Hab den Weg schon lang verloren.
And with.
Bin viel besser hier dran.
Very nice. All right, so that's basically it. We used it now in 4 different mixing purposes. And essentially, you can use this device also in other stereo applications, other instruments, but you can basically use it also in instruments, for example. But it was designed for the mix bus for mastering purposes. And it sounds, in my opinion, really great. It has very nice features, also with the EQ and the compressor, but just with the sidechain low cut, so that the compressor doesn't react to the lower frequencies, and also that you can use the EQ in front of the compressor and vice versa. Again, overall, very high build quality. The knobs feel really good when you turn them. I think you also hear it when you hear the clicking of the knobs. So really sturdy build, high quality, made in Germany. And of course, thanks to Tegeler Audiomanufaktur for sending me this unit to let me try it out. And they were curious what I think about it. And as I said, it's really a great device. Really freshens up the mix bus and doesn't sound harsh in any way. 2 thumbs up from me. Yeah, so as always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos like that in the future. And as always, happy recordings and see you in the next video.